Ever since the Financial Times disclosed Nancy Pelosi's plan to visit Taiwan, the Chinese regime's reactions and the ensuing worldwide attention have escalated the tension in the Taiwan Strait. People worry that a Sino-US military confrontation in the Pacific is fast approaching. What does Pelosi's visit mean to Beijing? Amid intense political infighting and growing domestic unrest, how will Xi Jinping deal with Taiwan? Hello, welcome to Lei's Real Talk. I'm Lei. Nancy Pelosi's 19-hour visit to Taiwan has triggered so much worldwide attention. Outside China, between 100,000 and 300,000 people followed her plane on a global flight tracking app called Flight Radar 24, causing the app to crash last weekend. Inside China, people bypassed the regime's internet firewall to get information about Pelosi's trip. In a rare moment of tolerance, the CCP's censors allowed people to post info from foreign sources, and the top 10 hot topics on Weibo, the Chinese Twitter, were all related to Pelosi and Taiwan. Meanwhile, since August 1st, Xi Jinping and the Politburo Standing Committee members went missing. People suspect that they are at the beach resort Beidaihe for the final round of power struggles before the 20th National Congress in the fall. Professor Shen Rongqing of Canada's York University said in an interview with the Epoch Times on August 2nd that he believes Xi Jinping is being grilled at Beidaihe. Of course, I don't think Pelosi's visit to Taiwan will affect Xi's chance of remaining as the head of state. But now in Beidaihe, I believe that many party bigwigs are strongly criticizing Xi Jinping, saying that his Sino-US and Taiwan policies are a total failure. Reuters reported on Wednesday that U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken had discussed Pelosi's potential visit with his Chinese counterpart in Bali during G20 meeting. According to Yuan Hongbin, a Chinese political commentator living in Australia, the CCP sees Joe Biden as weak, so it hoped to put pressure on him to intervene and stop Pelosi from visiting Taiwan, but it failed. Professor Shen believes that CCP officials understand superficially the separation of powers between the executive and legislative branches in the U.S. government, but they don't really believe it. Because you grew up in that single authority system in China, it's not easy to believe that the President of the United States cannot stop the actions of an official who is supposedly under him. These political commentators brought up a very good point, which is that the CCP officials don't understand democracy and have a different set of criteria and values. They make decisions based on the CCP's values and goals. By the same token, the West doesn't understand the CCP's logic and can misinterpret its intentions and actions. From my perspective, although Xi Jinping may be grilled by the party elders at Beidaihe over Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, the Taiwan crisis may have presented him with some opportunities, according to the CCP logic. Unlike peace-loving people who don't like crisis or conflicts, the Chinese Communist Party thrives on crisis and conflicts. This is because the communists know that the best time to take advantage of people is during a crisis. Throughout the CCP's history, various political campaigns Mao Zedong and other CCP leaders launched were to create internal conflicts that allowed them to emerge as a victor so as to gain absolute power. If the world is at peace and all nations get along with each other, the Chinese communists would find it hard to survive. The current Chinese leader may perceive the crisis over Pelosi's trip to Taiwan as an opportunity to obtain more power. How so, you may wonder? First, the regime is using its wolf warrior diplomats, the military, brainwashed youth, and the press to create overboard reactions in order to pressure the Biden administration and U.S. allies to see how they respond. The results of this stress test will be used as a reference in the regime's future decisions about Taiwan. Second, and more importantly, the crisis gave Xi Jinping a chance to arouse public emotions against a perceived foreign enemy. This will allow the regime to divert public attention away from domestic banking and real estate crisis and cool down the resentment over zero COVID and the doomed economy. These internal economic time bombs are more threatening to Beijing than Pelosi's visit because the masses are angry. The CCP knows that it needs to create an outlet for people to vent their anger and frustration. Nancy Pelosi and the American imperialists came in handy. That's why the CCP's censors didn't stop people from discussing Pelosi's trip. The propaganda machine wanted to stir up public emotions. I read a post by a Chinese who said that if war with Taiwan means no more COVID tests, he's all for it. I think the post spoke the mind of a lot of Chinese people. Within 20 minutes after Pelosi landed in Taiwan, China's Foreign Affairs Ministry issued a prepared statement, reiterating what Xi Jinping said to Joe Biden a few days ago, urging the U.S. not to play with fire only to be destroyed by it. The Defense Ministry said that the Chinese People's Liberation Army, or PLA, is on high alert and will launch a series of targeted military operations from August 4th to the 7th, circling Taiwan. The PLA's Eastern Theater released a 2-minute propaganda video and announced joint air and sea exercises that include long-range live firing in the Taiwan Strait. Before Pelosi landed in Taiwan, Chinese social media was flooded with fake news that Chinese missiles attacked the Taiwanese airport and the PLA shot down Taiwan's war plans, and so forth. The online hysteria got out of control, so Weibo was strategically shut down by the authorities, as people said. The young Chinese nationalists became utterly disappointed when they saw that nothing happened when Nancy Pelosi landed in Taiwan. They were fooled by the propaganda once again. Beijing is very careful not to let the situation go out of control because Xi Jinping doesn't want to start a war. At the reception on July 31st commemorating the founding of the PLA, Wei Fenghe, the Minister of Defense, did not mention Taiwan in his speech. The reception was attended by all 7 members of the Politburo Standing Committee, including Xi Jinping. So Wei's speech had to be in accord with the wishes of the top party leadership. Surprisingly, Wei struck a soft tone and said he wished the PLA everlasting friendship with the armies of the world. Taiwan is an important justification for Xi Jinping to seek his 3rd term. His political enemies within the party will use any mistakes he makes over Taiwan to get at him. They also want him to start the war right away, so he loses and they have a chance to take over. But Xi is very careful not to start a war involuntarily because he knows the PLA isn't ready to face the United States. But does it mean he isn't planning to take over Taiwan? No, I think he's planning to take over Taiwan through other means. Former Global Times chief editor Hu Xijin might have given us a hint in one of his social media posts. He said on August 1st, "We will certainly not let Pelosi's visit go peacefully and smoothly, and we have a lot of ways to exert pressure, stir it up, and enhance military infiltration of Taiwan. The U.S. cannot predict how these cards will be played, and it's much harder than predicting the time and route of Pelosi's visit to Taiwan." He used military infiltration. This may be what the CCP will rely on to make up for the PLA's lack of ability and strength. People should not underestimate his words because the CCP is more than likely trying to take over Taiwan in an underhanded, subversive manner. Infiltration and espionage were the means that enabled the CCP to seize power from the nationalists 73 years ago. These are the things that the CCP is very good at. It's a big topic, and I will discuss it this coming Saturday during my next live event. It's Saturday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join me. That's all for today. See you Saturday.